Hi everyone, it's Valentina Salazar here. Today I want to start my presentation and my proposal in the research that I've been diving in, that is the impact of intentional dressing on self-perception and confidence building. The idea of this research is to create a phenomenological exploration of fashion choices, especially in women and non-binary people here in the Bay Area. And before I start, I would like to give some context why this topic really caught my attention to do an entire research proposal about and learn more about. So, people who know me know that I really enjoy and love fashion and aesthetics. And the aesthetics of fashion, the politics of fashion. And I really wanted to really explore how intentional dressing impacts our self perception in personal expression, also our confidence building. These research really focus on the role of clothing, color choices, and how those really shape our identity, our self identity, and emotional being. This specific research is important because fashion plays a key role in how we express our identities, ourselves, our mood. It's also important to understand how the emotional and psychological effects of fashion can promote self acceptance and confidence. Also, I see fashion as a way. Of personal empowerment through intentional dressing that can be particularly relevant for women and non-binary individuals in a society that focuses on appearance. And right now, I want to give you a little background about the population and the context about this research. I want to be transparent now. I am really curious about men and women and non binary people and how they connect with these intentional choices for dressing. But for the sake of narrowing down, I decided to focus in a more specific population who are women and non-binary people between the age of 18 to 45 from diverse cultural, socioeconomic backgrounds, specifically here in the Bay Area. Um, the criteria to choose this population are people or participants who are very intentional about their clothing and view fashion as a form of self-expression. In regards to cultural context, it's important to for me as a person who's creating this research to see fashion as expression of individuality, especially with diverse progressive communities like here in the Bay Area. Another thing that I consider important to select women and non-binary is how fashion has evolved over time, and how for women specifically there was a specific type of garment, clothes that we or women had to use back in the day, like just skirts or dress, and how after some specific moments in history, women incorporated into their wardrobe pants. Also, keeping in mind things as the weather and how I cannot imagine being easy to be in a very extreme weather, like cold weather, wearing a skirt. And how was just not society, that was not like something accepted in society, as well as non-binary people, the importance of these intentional dressing, selecting garments that traditionally have been for men or women, but now these intention of mixing and matching garments that allow them to connect more with their personality, with the way of expressing themselves. I also think that is important, and it's a growing awareness of fashion as a tool of self expression and identity in the context of gender and social norms, as I just mentioned. The design and the methodology that I plan to use for this research is a phenomenological hermeneutic approach, which really means trying to understand something by listening carefully to people's experiences and idea, and then thinking about how those ideas can help us see things in a new way. For this approach, I really want to focus on understanding lived experiences of the participants and how their clothing choices shape their sense of selves, as well as creating some circle for interpretation, moving between individual experiences in a broader social context. For data collection methods, I plan to use a semi structured interviews with 5 to 10 participants, where the participants will share their thoughts on fashion, color choices, and identity. Uh, Also, would like to integrate some expressive art therapy methods. Part of it can be some visual diaries where participants will capture outfits they wore intentionally and reflect how they made them feel, combining photo journaling and drawing, and perhaps aesthetic responses based on the outfits they chose and how they felt about it. Regarding data collection and interpretation, as I mentioned, I plan to conduct some semi structured interviews that are deep conversation about fashion choices, identity, and self expression. I will ask participants to keep a visual diary where they will document their outfits and describe their emotional connection to their clothing, and how they wear it, when they wear it. And perhaps after each journal entry, maybe create aesthetic response about how they felt and how they connected with this specific outfit or the garment. Regarding interpretation approach, thematic analysis, Brown and Clark, 2006, mentioned that identifying common themes in verbal and visual data. And the hermeneutic circle, moving between individual experiences and the larger social context to uncover deeper meanings. Gadamer, 2004, talk about that. So that will be the interpretation approach and the data collection process. The timeline for this entire research, including the intervention duration, is between 6 to 8 weeks for data collection, interviews, and visual diaries. The research phase, I structure it between 1 and 2 weeks, where participants, recruitment, and pre interviews happen. Between weeks 3 and 4, I will have the data collection, the semi-structured interviews in the time where our participants will use the diary for keeping notes and static response. Between week 5 and 6, that time will be used for data analysis and interpretation. In week 7 and 8, will be the writing the findings and preparing materials for publication. The final insights and the conclusion about the intention of these research is to really understand how intentional clothing choices can shape identity, confidence, and emotional well being. The significance of this research will be to highlight fashion's role in expressing personal identity, emotional states, and self worth, especially for marginalized groups. And by combining qualitative interviews and expressive visual diaries, I want to incorporate some expressive art therapy techniques, as I mentioned, some aesthetic responses. And in this way, the study will offer a multi-dimensional view of the emotional and social impact of fashion. That's my hope. And the implications really show how clothing is not just about appearances and so superficial, but it's also a powerful tool for communicating identity and emotional expression. This slide over here, I have some references that I use for this presentation. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Looking forward to hear your feedback, questions. That will be super helpful for my final paper. Thank you. See you all soon.